Welcome to the Stock Guy Analysis. All right, let's get right into it. There's this story that has been just ripping across crypto social media. It's all about this one company that's suddenly seeing this just massive explosion of interest from some of the biggest names on Wall Street. So, today we're going to break down exactly what's going on with BitMine. So it all kicked off with this one absolutely wild claim. Just imagine you're scrolling and this pops up. A company's institutional ownership jumps from 6% to over 30% in just 13 days. I mean, no wonder this was the spark that lit the fire, right? It got everyone talking about this crypto miner, BitMine, ticker BMNR. And you know, that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When you see numbers that are this crazy, you've got to ask, is this just another crypto fever dream? Is this just a bunch of hype getting out of control? Or is something much, much bigger going on here? We're going to dig in and really try to separate the facts from the fiction. Okay, first things first. Before we can even get into why this is happening, we have to figure out the what. Like, is this viral claim even real? Let's go straight to the data and check it out. And the answer, yeah, it's real. The viral claim is, believe it or not, largely accurate. This is not just social media noise, folks. It's a documented tidal wave of institutional cash. So, let's really break down the sheer scale of what we're looking at. So, first up, let's talk shares. We're talking 98.2 million shares acquired by these big institutions. And let's be super clear here, that is not a small bet. That is a massive, massive position. And what does that look like in, cold hard cash? Well, that stake is worth a whopping $2.35 billion. That's a major, major allocation by absolutely anyone's standards. And get this, it's not just one or two rogue whales out there making a big splash. Nope. The number of institutions holding the stock has more than doubled, jumping to over 375 of them. This tells us there's broad, maybe even coordinated interest all across Wall Street. I mean, just look at this comparison. The before and after is just as staggering. In only 13 days, the number of shares held by institutions shot up by nearly 400%. And a value of those shares that skyrocketed by over 420%. It's literally night and day. So who are these big fish? We're talking about the titans of finance here. You got Susquehanna, you got ARK Invest, but the one leading the charge, Morgan Stanley. They scooped up almost a quarter of all the institutional shares. They're not just dipping their toes in the water. They're making a huge statement. Okay, so the what is confirmed. The numbers are absolutely real, and they're spectacular. So now let's get to the why. What in the world is the strategy behind this institutional stampede? Well, it all boils down to this one core idea, something called the Ethereum treasury play. Now, think of it like this. Imagine a company's vault. Instead of filling it with US dollars, they decide to fill it with crypto. And that's exactly what's happening here. Bit's main asset is becoming this huge growing pile of Ethereum, which basically turns their stock into a standing, a proxy for investing directly in ETH. And when I say a huge pile, I'm not kidding. Their digital treasury is seriously impressive. They hold 3.63 million ETH. Let that sink in. That is 3% of the entire supply of Ethereum. On top of that, they've got some Bitcoin, some WorldCoin. All told, their crypto and cash reserves top 11 billion. This isn't just a mining company anymore. It has totally transformed. And you know what? They're not being quiet about it. Their stated goal, what they're calling the alchemy of 5%, is a plan to own 5% of the entire Ethereum supply. That is an incredibly bold, high-conviction move. It's basically them shouting from the rooftops how much they believe in the future of ETH. Which brings us to maybe the most important question. Why now? What created this perfect storm for this to all go down right now? Why are all these big money players piling in at this exact moment? Well, it looks like it was a perfect storm. Really, a convergence of three key things. First, BitMine was already quietly, or not so quietly, buying up tons of ETH. Second, the quarterly 13F filings came out. Now, these are the reports where big firms have to show what stocks they own. So, when those dropped, it was like a giant flare went up for the whole market to see this buying frenzy. And third, all of this was happening right as ETH itself was rallying which made BitMine look like the perfect supercharged way to get in on the action. And you can see just how powerful that supercharged effect is. Look at this. On a day when ETH had a nice solid 5% gain, BitMine stock just exploded, up nearly 20%. So for any big institution that wants that pumped up exposure to ETH, but without the headache of actually holding the crypto themselves, well, BMR suddenly looked like a no-brainer. So with all this insane growth, where does it go from here? Let's take a step back and look at both sides of the coin. The bull case, and of course the very real risks. All right, on the one hand, the bulls will tell you that having giants like Morgan Stanley in your corner is a huge vote of confidence. It could even help stabilize the stock price. It's a clear high conviction bet on the future of Ethereum. But then on the other hand, the risks, the stock's fate is now completely tied to the crazy volatility of the crypto market. You've always got the threat of future regulation looming. And it's so important to remember that this 13F data we're all looking at, it's old news. It's like driving by looking in the rearview mirror. So this is way bigger than just BitMain. It's a huge test case for this entire strategy. So what's the main takeaway here? The bottom line is this. This is not random hype. The surge we're seeing with BitMine is very, very real, and it's backed by hard data. It represents a calculated strategic move by Wall Street to use a company's stock as a brand new way to get massive exposure to Ethereum. And that leaves us with one final massive question to Sean. Is BitMine writing the playbook for a totally new kind of corporate strategy where companies basically become investment fund for crypto? Or is it just the poster child for a giant bubble? One that's just waiting to pop? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching.